Welcome to the Martial Arts with Jake podcast. Hear from the best martial artists and combat sports athletes from around the world. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Yes, guys, welcome to another episode of the Martial Arts with Jake podcast. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Mitch Chilson. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. I'm excited to be here, bro.
I'm really excited. So where did your martial arts journey begin? Take me back to the very start.
Oh, man. At the very start, I was probably 6 years old, and my mom used to drag me to karate classes. So from the time I was about 6 until I was 18, I only did Japanese martial arts. I did karate, I did kendo, I did judo, and it was just a way for my mother to introduce me to my Japanese culture because she's Japanese, and it was the only thing I was really interested in as a kid. I loved martial arts. I loved the movies, and my heroes were Ralph Macchio and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Bruce Lee. These are the guys that I looked up to and I saw in the movies, and I wanted to do those cool things.
Where did you grow up?
Seattle, Washington, in the United States.
Also, the whole Bruce Lee thing there as well.
Yeah, he was there for a long time. I visited his grave when I was a little kid. He was a large part of, I guess, kind of the culture of martial arts in Seattle, Washington. So I actually trained at one of his old schools in Chinatown when I first started to learn kung fu and the horse stance and that whole thing. His lineage definitely spread across Seattle, and there was a lot of influence from him.
And did you find training in those traditional Japanese arts gave you that discipline throughout school and in your later life?
I think so. Kendo was I think I spent the most time with kendo, and kendo was really hard. Like, it was a brutal sport. It was just basically us getting beat up by instructors just day after day, hour after hour. It was a really hard sport, and it really toughened you up, not only physically but also mentally, to deal with that kind of adversity. And being involved in martial arts that long really gave me a good foundation as far as honor and integrity and respect and just belief in myself too. So it's the things that I carried with me throughout my entire life.
And was you competitive from an early age as well?
Yeah, I started competing in karate tournaments and kendo tournaments all over the Western United States and up into Canada as well. And it's funny because I never won. I never won a tournament. For some reason, like, I had this reoccurring theme about third place. And I have like a trophy. Look at how, because Sage Northcutt has this, he's like a 77-time world champion, right?
Jeez.
I think I'm probably like a 17-time bronze medalist.
It's a mantle of bronze medals.
Horrible. Just a bunch of third place trophies. It became kind of a joke for my mom. She's like, before I'd even say anything, she'd see the look on my face and she'd be like, third place again, huh? I was like, yeah, I got another one. I don't know what it was. I think it was a mental block about when I got to the semifinals. I just choked.
What kept you going though to keep on competing, even though you had that mental block of the semifinals that it could be bronze again? What was it that kept you driving forward?
Well, I was a kid, right? I didn't have a choice. Yeah. My mom made me go, right? She I would much rather have spent my Saturdays and my Sundays playing with my friends, but she made me, like, it was just part of life. Like, I had to go to Japanese language school. I had to go work at the restaurant. I had to go to a martial arts class. It was just the way that I was raised up. And whether it was competition or if it was training, it's something that I do every day. A day without training, something's missing. My day isn't complete without that workout, without that sort of thing. So it's something that was just ingrained in my head. But dude, to be honest, I really wanted the top of the podium. I wanted nothing more in life than to achieve that title of being a champion. I wanted to be known as a martial arts champion, and I continued to push, and it didn't happen until I actually came to Asia. So it was a long journey to finally get there.
But again, let's talk about that whole martial arts lifestyle, because with the COVID situation that's going on, the whole training has kind of been taken away from us in the UK anyway. So the whole, what you're used to, and that whole routine of, okay, well, when I was a kid, it'd be school, training, schoolwork, homework. And it was like the repetitive cycle. And then, so it's a massive lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. For COVID, I had a gym. I was originally living in Manila, and I opened a gym there with my fiance, and we built a gym and a coffee shop. And it was like my first sort of like everything that I ever envisioned in a gym, and it got closed down, and it was really hard, and I believe everybody is being forced to adapt to these new restrictions that are placed on us. And it's like, I get to talk to some of these world-class athletes every single day, and they're very innovative as far as the ways that they've been able to train for competition, not just to train to stay healthy, but to train to compete at the highest level, because as fans, we still expect them to step up and not miss a beat. Right. So like, it's been really interesting to see how these world-class fighters have overcome these situations and still maintain that high level of physical fitness.
Are you at Evolve Gym right now?
No, I'm at the One Championship office.
Oh, fantastic.
So I relocated to Singapore in the middle of this COVID thing, because One Championship, they wanted me to come to do some events, to commentate the events here. And I knew that if I left the Philippines, I wouldn't be able to get back. So I had, in September, I had to close my gym. I had to close my coffee shop. I had to leave my fiance and my cat. And I relocated here. And I knew that if I left, I wouldn't be able to get back to Manila. So I had to basically just pack a suitcase, and I've been here for 4 months, and now we're trying to relocate to Singapore. So hopefully by July, she'll be here, and we'll be reunited. But at least I have One Championship. One Championship has taken such good care of me in helping me get here, and I know that some people are just having, they're really going through some hard times. So it helps me put things in perspective and just kind of be grateful for everything that I got.
Absolutely. It's given that time to reassess and kind of, like you said, adapt to the situation and make improvements then. So when we do get back to some sort of normality, those lessons we've learned will only make us better when we're back.
Do you think we'll ever be back to normal?
Oh, they've got some step-by-step plan in the UK. They're saying by end of June, but you never know.
Yeah. What if this is the new normal, like travel restrictions and like all these things that have been put in place? It really tests the human spirit as far as adaptation and overcoming things. So it's been a rough road, man. And I know it's been that way for so many more people. And I know we have a lot of guys coming from the UK to compete in our next card. And it's been really tough on them.
I was checking out the card for April. You've got Jonathan Hagerty fighting, and you've got Liam Harrison. They're two absolute legends. I love them both.
Yeah, man. We've got also the newcomer, the #1 flyweight in the UK right now, Jacob Smith, who has just been like so much hype, and we're really excited to have him. But man, Liam Harrison and Jonathan Hagerty are savages. Two of my favorite strikers. I love watching them compete. It's so much fun.
They both bring it massively. They're just amazing to watch. But Liam Harrison, what a career. And then Jonathan Hagerty, I think he's my age. I think he's 24, 25, is he? Yeah. And his striking's phenomenal.
Yeah. 18. He's had like 18 fights, 19 now, I think. And he's got 3 world titles. It's ridiculous. He's a phenom, an absolute striking prodigy.
I mean, was it Samé that he beat to win the title as well?
Yeah. Wow. He put on a clinic. Those elbows.
Yeah.
Woo! Fire.
Unbelievable. So speaking of travel, so when did you first move from the States to Singapore?
In 2004, I was in San Francisco and I started managing gyms up and down San Francisco and California. And then in 2005, I met a regional manager of a health club out in LA. And he said that I would do great in Asia. And this place called Singapore is like the Hawaii of the East, right? And I'd never heard of Singapore. This is 2005, right? So I was like, you know what? It's Hawaii. I love Hawaii. Let's do it, right? And literally 3 months later, I jumped on a plane. I left my family, left my girlfriend, and I flew over to Singapore. And Singapore was a very different place in 2005. Yeah. There was 2 Muay Thai gyms on the entire continent. To put that into perspective, there are hundreds of them now. And like I had to travel across the country to train at a Muay Thai gym. And it's just been wild to watch this country grow. Yeah. And I always said I was only going to be here 6 months. And I would leave when my job was no longer cool. And bro, that was 15 years ago. Yeah, so my job just keeps getting cooler and cooler, man.
So was you competitive in Thailand after the Kempo? Did your focus go to Muay Thai?
Kinda. I remember before I came to Singapore, I took a break just to try bodybuilding, right? Because my idol was Van Damme, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to be Jean-Claude Van Damme. So I knew I had to weightlift. So I got into bodybuilding and I started competing in bodybuilding. And in bodybuilding, I actually won my first place trophy, my first one.
The first ever one?
And yeah, my first number one, I became a bodybuilding champion. And so I had this body, this physique, right? And so in my head, I was like, all right, now I'm ready to compete. And I started kickboxing. And I competed, I started studying, I moved to San Francisco and I started training kickboxing and Muay Thai. And I actually competed in a Strike Force card. My first, I did smokers and I competed in one of the Strike Force kickboxing cards. And I was smashed, man. It was not good. I got stage fright. I froze out there. There was 4,000 people in this gym and I froze. And it was bad. It was bad. But I loved it. There was still a rush that I felt being the center of attention like that for 9 minutes, having all those people focused on me. It was something I'd never felt before. And I got the bug.
Yeah.
And so I started doing kickboxing and we started doing smokers and different competitions. And it was the funnest thing. And me and my buddy started, developing like strength and conditioning programs and blogs and working on all this stuff. And then when I got to Asia, when I got to Singapore, it wasn't big then. And I started training because my job kind of allowed me, because I was in a gym. Mm-hmm. So there was a kickboxing coach there. So I started to train all the time. And I got another shot and started competing. And, it's just been a storybook ever since.
Did you go to Thailand to train much as well for fight camps?
At first, not so much, right? Like I was a personal trainer, like I was a manager of a gym, right?
Yeah.
And after about a year of managing this gym in Singapore, it was so stressful. Like it was just, we had like these $100,000 targets that we had to hit. And I was just training and just kind of working. And the work got more and more stressful the higher up I went in the company. And I decided, like my sister came with me and we took a vacation to Vietnam and she's like, is this what you want to do with your life? Do you want to be a gym salesman forever? You're obviously, losing your mind. Mm-hmm. You're not happy. And I was like, you know what? I don't. And so I quit and I went to intern at a physical therapy clinic. And I started studying sports conditioning. And I started understanding the correlation between high level strength and conditioning and athletic performance. And at the time, I was about 30 years old, right? So I was kind of in my athletic peak. Mm-hmm. And I fought once and it was a draw and it was okay. But the only difference I had, the guy was very technical, but the only advantage that I had over him was I was stronger and faster. And so I was like, well, if I can do this, I can actually make a run at this. And for 3 months, all we did was study strength and conditioning. And I put together this system of training for fighters and how to, correct imbalances and improve strength, but also not allowing them to get tired.
Yeah.
Like a way to, like, now it's extremely popular, circuit training and stuff. But back then here in Asia, it wasn't. Nobody knew anything about that high level strength and conditioning. So I met Chatri at a party. My Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach brought me, he's like, you have to meet this guy, Chatri. He's like a businessman and he's gonna start a gym here and I want you to meet him. And I was like, okay. And at this point in time, dude, everybody had a pitch for me, right? Because I was acting, I was modeling, I was, I was on the brink of becoming popular, almost semi-famous, everybody had a pitch for me, right? Because I was kind of unemployed. So I was looking for my next opportunity. And I go to this party. And at this party, there's fortune tellers and flamethrowers and catered food. And I was like, what is this? I was like, this is crazy. And I met a guy named Chatri Sigyotong. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, I'm going to start this gym and I'm going to bring all the best world champions from around the world. And I'm going to bring him here to Singapore. I'm going to build a facility that's never been seen here in Singapore. And I was like, what? Really? I was like, okay, let's see. And then the next day he's like, I want to see your system. And I was like, I want you to train me. And I was like, okay. The next day we went to my gym at the time and I took him through my stuff. And he was like, this is great. I want you to be part of the team. I can make you a fighter. I can get you to Thailand. You can compete. And I was like, done. Let's do it. Quit my job, signed on with him. The next week we were traveling to Sigyotong, Thailand and going to Pattaya. And we met Papa, we met Yodecha, we met Nung, and I was surrounded by the best Muay Thai fighters ever. And I got to meet the Grand Master of Sigyotong, and talk to him about Muay Thai. And it was just this amazing opportunity. And it was an amazing thing to be in Sigyotong and talking about Muay Thai with these legends. And, we took them back to Singapore, started Evolve Mixed Martial Arts. And the next thing you know, I'm the first guy on the Evolve fight team.
That's amazing.
And I'm fighting in Thailand, man. And
That's such a cool story.
Fights in Thailand. I had 4 fights in Thailand, and in Thailand, my third fight was for the Teppersit Stadium Championship, and I brought my mom over, and so it's me, my mom, Grandmaster Yogtong, right? The godfather of Muay Thai, the Dr. Yogtong, right? And it's us sitting there and I'm fighting a savage, dude. This dude, hands me it, right? I was like, the only thing I was in shape. That was it. That was all I had, right? But the dude was just so good and so, like, he was just, I completely underestimated him, and he wrecked me, man. I overestimated myself. I was so cocky going into this fight, and he just wrecks me. But I learned so much about the physical capabilities of an athlete and what they have to do, but also the mental training and how you have to be prepared for it. I went back the next time, and I was prepared. I started competing in Muay Thai, and I actually won a championship. So I took home a Thai stadium belt. It was cool, man.
That's amazing. And what a story that is. Like the original, that's insane. I was so engrossed in that conversation then. I just sat there that's insane, man. That's insane. So what was the original Evolve fight team? Because you've been there since the very beginning then. So you must have seen it evolve into what it's become now and won championship.
Yeah, it was very basic back then. Like I was the first guy, competing for Evolve, and then we brought in Brogino, We brought in Alex Silva. We had all these Thai fighters, but it was just slowly built. And then, at the start, it was just a small group of guys. And then over time, it became this like gigantic explosion of martial arts. Before you knew it, we had Rich Franklin, Ben Askren, Shinya Aoki, like all these people starting to come to Evolve to train and learn from these Muay Thai world champions, these Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions. And we just developed this squad, and we had this amazing team. And there's this rule that says you are the sum of the people you surround yourself. If you want to be great, it was something Chatri always told us. And he said that if you want to be great, you have to surround yourself with greatness. And that's what happened to me. Is I was around these incredible world champion martial artists day in and day out. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions, Muay Thai world champions, wrestling world champions. They were my brothers. They were my family. And I took on their work ethic, and I took on their belief systems. And it was just an amazing experience to be part of those early days of mixed martial arts. And now that I'm back in Singapore and I've seen how much it's grown, it's just nuts. And I can't, it's been unbelievable to watch Singapore develop into the mecca of mixed martial arts.
Yeah. What was it like? So you had all these world champions on the mats. What was it like day in, day out? Was it a constant grind, constantly pushing each other to be better?
Pretty much. We just, I got to compete at Martial Combat. Martial Combat was like Asia's first MMA organization, right? Or here in Singapore. And it was, me and Brogino, and like we had so many of these other amazing people, but they just pushed you to be better.
Yeah.
They just pushed you to level up, and BJJ, it was just me getting mangled for day after day, and it was a really humbling experience, to be around all these guys. And it just became something you expected of yourself. You expected you to perform well. You expected to go out there and get the job done and help build up the team. And you had to, because somebody was always getting ready for a fight, right? Mm-hmm. So we always had to be there. We always had to lift each other up and just help each other become the best we could.
And it's amazing. You've got people from all over the world in different, all my MMA fighters, but specializing in kind of different disciplines as well back then, all come into this hub of Singapore. It's insane.
100%. Yeah, it was. It was like he actually, and I'm really lucky to continue to be part of this mission to spread martial arts. And now, even though I'm not competing anymore, I still get to train with those guys. I still talk to them, and they'll always be like family to me.
Did you fight on the first ever one card then? Was it the first one card that you competed on?
Yeah, the first one here in Singapore, 1FC1. I was stuck on the main card because I was kind of like the face of Singaporean Muay Thai. And I got put on the card, the main card, right? And the card was stacked, dude. Like it was nuts, right? And I was competing against a Filipino champion called Eric Kelly, right? And I came out just banging, just throwing shots. And I make one mistake, right? And he immediately takes my back, sinks in a rear naked choke, and puts me to sleep in front of millions of people. It was horrible, dude. It was horrible. It was my opportunity, right? I've always had these opportunities, right? And I've just, again, it's another third place trophy,
Yeah.
But
you come back from it as well, though, on that global stage.
Yeah,
you said,
I learned my lessons, and I learned by competing and everything. I've been on the mats, I've been, I've had to do everything to prepare your body for a competition. And I've been there, years of training and dedication. So I know what these guys go through,
Yeah.
I know that, what it takes to reach that level, and then everything that they go through. So I can sympathize with, with their story. And now my job is just to make these guys shine.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do, is make them as big as stars as possible, because I know how hard they work and how great athletes they really are.
How did you find it then, go from the switch to being a fighter to in now the commentary booth, and now like, do you find the experience of being a fighter helps you in that?
I definitely do, because I know what they go through, but also more than that, I know what I would like a commentator to say about me, right?
Yeah.
I would know how I want my story to be told. And, you know, I know what they go through day in and day out. And I just hope that I can best communicate their message to the best of my ability. And, you know, now I'm not the one in the spotlight. Now I get to help shine that spotlight on other people. And I have a little bit more respect, I think, in their eyes. But most people don't even know I'm a fighter. They just see me as the media guy, right? So they just see me as the guy that's now doing the talking and now is on TV talking about them. Most of the guys didn't even know, like Adriano Moraes, I've known him for years. He fights DJ, right? I've known this guy for a long time, and he's talking to me. He comes up to me and he goes, "Boah, Mitch, I did not know you fought," right? And he's like, Henzo Gracie was telling me about your fights and how tough you were. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's cool, right?
Like, I have Henzo Gracie.
Exactly. Henzo Gracie's pumping me up to the other fighters and being like, you got to respect this guy. So, you know, that's where I'm at right now. So it's been an amazing journey, dude.
Do you know Henzo Gracie well?
Yeah, I've trained at his school in Manhattan. I go there regularly to train with him. He's come to Singapore. I'm very lucky with some of the people that I get to meet and the connections that I have through One Championship, Evolve, and the whole journey.
Matt, do you get trained like the Danaher Death Squad as well? Did you ever get to?
Yeah, dude.
Oh man, what was that like?
I actually went to New York and I stayed there for a month with the sole purpose of learning the leg lock system, right? Like I just wanted to go there because they were really innovative in this attacking the lower body game, right? And I was there for 1 month. I trained every single day, sometimes twice a day. Dude, there wasn't one single session on leg locks, not one. So I had to go back, right? And I had to order the John Danaher Enter the System leg locks so to actually understand what these guys were doing. Because when I called the Gary Tonin Shinya Aoki match, I didn't understand the complexity of Gary Tonin's leg game, right? It's so complex, everything that he's doing. And so now I'm, you know, because that's the way that I have as a commentator, I have to know what these guys are doing, and the game's changing so fast. So my own education is just as important now as it was back then.
It's crazy to see how jiu-jitsu is evolving though, because you see like guys putting off Imanari rolls in the middle of MMA fights now. It's crazy.
Yeah, like Gary Tonin, watching that guy catching leg kicks, rolling the thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And jiu-jitsu is like, there's a lot of intricacies in striking, and there's a lot of things that can be innovated, and stance changes to calf kicks. You know, there's lots of things that are changing with the striking game, but jiu-jitsu is the wild, wild west. Like this is there is so much innovation and creativity going on in the jiu-jitsu game right now that, I mean, for the first 20, 30 years, for at least here in America or in the Western world or the world that we knew, you only attacked the upper body, right? You went after the arms, you went after the shoulders, maybe the occasional guy went after legs, right? Nobody was attacking legs in like the early 2000s, except like a few guys like Imanari and maybe Dean Lister. Nobody was doing it. But now it's an entirely different game where you can attack the entire body. And it's the most beautiful martial art. And it's the one that I find most intriguing at the moment, at least, is just because of the innovation that's going on in the jiu-jitsu game.
I'm exactly the same, because I've been striking since I was a little kid, and I started doing BJJ at age 20, and I got the bug straight away, man. Straight away. But then I heard Danaher say as well, why would you ignore 50% of the human body? Like
100%.
It makes sense completely.
Completely. It's but man, it's dangerous, man, especially for us old guys.
Yeah.
Like you get the wrong person attacking your knees, and you're out for months, so you got to learn to tap quick.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a tall guy, so basketball was always my sport since I was a kid. So as soon as people come in my ankles, I'm like, man, tap straight away. Like I got to keep playing.
Understood.
Yeah. So how did it come about then, stepping into the commentary booth?
Well, it started at martial combat, right? Like I just won my first super fight championship. And I think I got hurt, and I think they just wanted to keep me active. So they were like, would you like to try commentating? And I was like, oh, of course. And so I jumped into the booth, and I was terrible. Like it was awful, right? Stumbling, like just terrible.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, you're not going to do that anymore. Thanks for trying. And then like I competed, I kept competing. I never did it again. But I did more acting and more TV stuff.
Yeah.
And I got better at talking. And then what happened I started doing more TV, but then fast forward to, I think 2015, I think, after I stopped competing for a couple of years, and one championship approached me and they were like, would you like to try commentating again? And I was like, yeah, I'd love to, no problem. And I did it. And the first thing that I did was a weigh-in, right? And it went terribly. Like I was awful, dude. I don't know. Like I was so scared, and I was so nervous. It wasn't televised or anything, right?
Yeah.
It was just me in front of a room speaking. And for some reason I choked. It felt like the Strikeforce fight all over again, right? In front of the people, and it was terrible. And I carried that failure into the booth with me the same night. And I had some good moments, right? And I think one realized that I had maybe some potential. Victor Cui, he's always had my back, and he's the CEO of One International. And he was just like, just keep trying, just keep practicing, and you'll be okay. And I was like, okay, but I messed up. I wasn't very good. And so then I went back and I did a season of a TV show called Fit for Fashion, right? It's on Netflix. It's actually in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, Australia, the US right now. It's called Fit for Fashion. It's like America's Next Top Model meets like Biggest Loser. Like it's a fashion show where you try to get fit, right? And I had to create a lot of my own lines. So I started practicing. I started coming up with things off the cuff, off the top of my head, right? And I went back and I was like, you know what? I really like that commentary thing. And so I would actually watch fights with no sound, and I would just commentate the fight that I saw.
Yeah.
And I would just do it over and over and over and over again. And I would record myself and then listen back to it. And I did that like several times. And between the fake commentary and the TV show, I got another shot. One championship called me up and they said, our commentator fell out. Would you like to try again? And I was like,
yeah,
let's do it. I'm ready this time. Let's go. Right. And so I jumped back into the booth, and I improved so much between the first time and the second time that they were like, wow, what did you do? And I was like, I did this, this, and this. And they were like, okay, let's try it again. And I did it again, and I did it again. And then I just had to learn about, because if you ever watch a one championship match, I get really excited, right?
Yeah.
So I've had to find a way to control my excitement, because my emotion comes out and it destroys my voice. So I've had to focus a lot of time on like breathing exercises and voice training, and just sort of, my fiance is a vocal talent. So she's helped me a lot. She's been doing this for like 25 years. So she's a high level voice talent. So she's been coaching me and helping me control my emotion and my breathing. And yeah, I love it. It's so much fun.
Did you know in the back of your mind then, when you were practicing recording on TV, no sound, listen back to your recordings, did you know back then that you'd get another shot? Was it always in the back of your mind thinking, if I get one more shot, that this will be the time that I nail it?
I hoped for it. I didn't expect it. I think I kind of knew that I had potential at this because I was a good speaker. I was comfortable in front of a crowd. I've been doing fitness seminars ever since like 1999. So I knew I had the possibility of doing well as a public speaker. I didn't know that it would become a full-time job and I would be able to travel the world and, make friends with all these world-class athletes. Like, no chance. But I did know that I did enjoy what I was doing. And I just wanted to be a little bit better. I hoped, but I didn't believe that I would get another shot.
And you're alongside a legend as well. In the commentary booth, Mr. Michael Scavello as well. Did he really help you out, kind of settle you in?
Michael Scavello is probably one of the greatest broadcasters in the world.
Yeah.
Like his ability to have things thrown at him and make adjustments mid-sentence is phenomenal. He can listen to a person talking full sentences in his ear, read a script, make changes off the cuff, and then immediately flow into the next thing. It's uncanny, dude. Like, his ability to be a professional journalist is unlike anything I've ever seen. But I've been surrounded by some really good broadcasters. Like Steve Dawson was the first guy that I was commentating with, and he really took me under his wing and helped me develop as a speaker and as a presenter. And then I had Sean Wheelock and I had Chris Hoekstra and all these guys that were selfless. Like I got really lucky with the people that I worked with, because most people in this industry, I think, don't want to give you tips. They don't want to help you rise up, right? Like, they don't want you to become good because it might make them look bad. But I never encountered that. I only encountered people that were encouraging, that believed in me. And that's kind of been the theme my entire life, is that I've always been surrounded by the right people and helping me develop in whatever area that I'm in. But Michael, man, dude, world class. Like, I'm around these world class fighters, but this guy is so good on the mic. And having him coach me through certain things and giving me tips has been really helpful. But also now I got Rich Franklin too, so having that guy next to me too, and he's hyper critical of me. He is very critical of the things that I say and how I say them, and he wants me to be a better voice for the sport of martial arts. So I'm surrounded by some good people that help me better.
It's like an art form in itself. And it's amazing how quickly you guys have to think on the spot, because you can't predict what's going to happen in a fight, because one shot can change it all. And you got to think so fast of what to say and control your emotions at the same time. Oh, like, how do these guys do it?
Yeah, it's rough, but that sort of, that ability to think quickly and to articulate what's going on in front of you, and to be the voice of some world-class action, dude, it's so much fun. And I really like, and now I still feel a little bit of the same kind of rush when I would make the walk to the ring.
Really,
I remember when I competed in RN at the stadium and 17,000 people were in the stadium. I was walking to the ring and the way it vibrated, I'll never forget the way that felt, the rush of walking to the circle before a fight and having these people scream. And even now, even in these, these miniature versions of that, I get that same sort of rush before every show. I jump around, I warm up my throat, I warm up my voice the same way that I would warm up shadow boxing. And I still get that same kind of rush that I did when I was competing.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer the fighting or the commentary now?
I miss fighting. I do. I miss waking up every day with that purpose of continual improvement. I would like to do it one more time. I think I never officially retired, so I would like to do it somehow, either whether it's kickboxing or if it's even a jiu-jitsu tournament. I will continue to compete, I think, until I'm old and gray. But right now I got hurt really bad. Like before that first one championship fight, I was thrown on my head and I tore 7 muscles in my neck and my back. And that was like 6 weeks before the fight. So I had to keep training and competing. I didn't want to pull out of this fight. I knew the opportunity that was in front of me. And so I fought that match, and lo and behold, Eric Kelly face cranked me into that choke. And then I immediately went out. Like it wasn't even like I didn't even get a chance to fight it. As soon as he slapped on the choke, I was out. And it's been an injury that's plagued me ever since, that time. So it's been something that I've constantly been working on fixing. And now my goal is just to be pain free. And once I get this all sorted out, dude, I'll definitely be back in there because I miss it that much.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the best things and worst things about being a competitor, because you get that injury and the competitor in you saying, I've got to fight through this, man. I've got to you got to compete against the best in the world with that injury. But then the downside to it, you put yourself through that and the injury comes back to haunt you.
Yeah. And it just gets worse and worse. And it's compound. Like there were some days, like I couldn't even move my neck. Like I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't move. It would take me like 30 minutes to even get comfortable just to move my neck around. But through going through this, it also helped me deal with people in pain. Yeah. So now I've worked on, my fitness system has become pain management and helping people correct imbalances that cause them, debilitating injuries. Now I can help, just like I can help sympathize with what a fighter goes through. Now I can help with people in pain and helping them get through it.
Is being a fitness professional still a major part of your career then?
Yeah, it's not anymore. I think it'll always be part of my life. Like I'll always, make videos, write articles, work on my website. I'm writing a book. Like it'll always be something that I do in coaching. But I'd like to eventually tie everything together, and bring it all around full circle. And I think I'll always be a teacher of some sort. But as far as a career is concerned, maybe in the future, I always like to continue helping, and I miss coaching. I really miss it. And ever since my gym closed, I haven't really been able to do that. So it is something, because the gym was like my biggest long-term goal, right?
Yeah.
Like most athletes, they always dream about their facility. And my fiance gave me that for my 40th birthday. She gave me a facility. She built the gym for me. And then it's just been a long story with that as well. So it's been, I do hope to get back to it. And I'm actually thinking about going back to Evolve and volunteering even, just so I can keep my foot in that and just be around those guys again.
Again, like I said, it's still part of that whole martial arts lifestyle. Like you said, you've been doing it since you were 6 years old. And now it's still that wanting to help others now. It's amazing. Yeah,
completely. It is now. It's just because yourself, right? Like your dad, he's instilled in you these values and this sort of these rituals that you're going to go through for the rest of your life. And when you reach my age, you're going to be like, well, now it's time to pass it on. And you're going to have it like probably you already do. You have people that you help and you guide, and then your students' accomplishments become greater than your own.
Yeah.
And you get more gratitude. Like I get more excitement when somebody tells me that I helped them with their back pain, rather than, me winning, X, Y, and Z, them accomplishing these things. But I almost had a fight team right before COVID. One championship was getting ready to host a Filipino version of Hero Series, which was a local competition where team competed against team. And I had my own team. It was my chance. And so hopefully we get back to something like that. And I do get that opportunity to take all this stuff that I've been working on, compile it, and give it back to the world. So
that sounds really cool. So is it different fight teams throughout the country that are going to compete against each other?
That was the idea,
That's
right?
So cool.
That was the idea. But don't tell anybody. That's just between us. I'm just kidding. But that was the idea, right? And I love the idea of having my own squad,
Yeah.
right? And like it must have been right at the beginning of COVID that this thing happened, right at the beginning of 2020 when we were getting ready to have it. And it was heartbreaking for me because I was so excited, you know, because it was going to be named after my gym too. And I was going to bring him down, and I brought in all these coaches, you know, and it was so excited, but everything happens for a reason, you know? So I think I'll get that opportunity again.
Because you get that emotional attachment as well to your fighters and to the guys that you're coaching, because you've kind of, you put a lot of yourself into them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never really, like, I've never fully coached somebody through a fight camp. I've been part of fight camps.
Yeah.
But I've never had a student that I've taken from development to fight camp to competition. And I would like to do that. I would like to have, you know, I think what I've been preparing for, you know, and what I've been kind of, my mom's always has told me since I was like 20, it's when I started teaching, that I was born to be a teacher. And I was like, I'm born to be an athlete. And she's like, no, you're born to be a teacher. And she's always tried to, you know, convey that message to me and instill those sorts of qualities that would make me a great teacher in me. And ultimately, I think that's what I'll end up doing in some form or another.
How come your mother really pushed you into the martial arts? And was it to kind of keep in touch with your Japanese background, or do you reckon it was she knew the kind of lifestyle it could give you and the life lessons it could give you, or a mixture of everything?
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I think a little bit of both. I think it was my connection to my Japanese heritage, the values that it would instill in me: respect, honor, humility, integrity, like those kinds of things. But also, I think she's the one that actually gave me the nickname the Dragon. Like she felt the dragon was a protective spirit that kind of watched over me and guided me and followed me here to Asia. And so she's always known this about me. Like I was a competitor, I was a warrior, but I've always liked the martial arts, dude. Like I've always liked fighting, like whether it was WWE, you know, Karate Kid, Jean-Claude, no matter what it was, you know, one champion. I've always loved the art of competition, of competitive combat sports, you know, whether it was watching Mike Tyson or if it was watching Joe Louis, you know, do karate tournaments, or, you know, even as far back as like Ramon Decker's competing in early stage Muay Thai. Like I've always just loved combat and martial arts. And it's just something that's been with me pretty much my entire life. And every day I kind of have to pinch myself to realize that this is a reality. Like I get paid to talk about fighting, to give my opinion on fighting, you know, and these guys have, you know, been a large part of that.
So do you think you'll ever stop?
With what? Commentating or
martial arts being a part of your whole life in general? Or do you reckon it will always be part of your life?
I don't think I would ever stop. If I ever, you know, like for some reason, if like one's like, you know, Mitch, you're out, I would probably just go open a gym.
Yeah.
I would have a gym, and that would be what I did until then. Like my fiance wants to retire, or she wants a vineyard in Italy. So that's my goal, is to, you know, make enough money through Bitcoin and stocks to essentially be able to buy her a vineyard. And if she had a vineyard, I would probably have a gym, and that's what I would be known for. I would like to do it on a large scale, and I think the internet and talking to people like you give us that opportunity to spread the knowledge. And I think it's just an amazing opportunity with internet to be able to communicate with more people. But I really enjoy the person-to-person contact, and coaching and teaching. So I don't think it'll ever be something that I don't do. I'll always teach, I'll always practice. I still have goals with martial arts that I want to accomplish, and I don't think it'll ever be anything that I quit.
That's amazing. Your own vineyard and your own gym. What two amazing gifts for each other that would be.
I was pretty close. I had the coffee shop, I had the gym.
Yeah.
But that she wants the vineyard. So I got to give her that. She gave me the gym. I have to give her the vineyard.
So what is the best fight you've ever called?
Oh man. I saw your questions, right? And I was like, wow, what was the best fight that I ever, right? And so many jump out at me, right? Like there's been so many matches, that I've just been shocked to call, right? Like Christian Lee, when he escaped Shinya Aoki's armbar and got out and won the lightweight world title. When Martin Nguyen knocked out Edward Folion and captured the lightweight, captured 2 belts and moved up. And then but one fight jumps, if I think about my biggest, most memorable moment, it was in 2015. It was like my 3rd event. It was in Jakarta, Indonesia, and it was for the middleweight world title. Igor Svirad defended his belt against Vitaly Bigdash. And it's an old fight, so you have to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
But it was electrifying. In the first round, Igor Svirad drops him 3 times, just putting it on him, hits him with a jab. He goes down. Vitaly Bigdash hops back up. Boom. Igor Svirad hits him with another jab. Bigdash goes down. Igor says, "Get up. Let's do it again." And they start going at it, just winging punches. And then in the final seconds of the first round, Vitaly Bigdash catches Igor Svirad with a giant knee, drops Igor Svirad. Igor hits the ground. Vitaly Bigdash jumps on his back, sinks in the rear naked choke, and Bigdash thinks he won, but the referee stops the bout because time runs out. And they kind of hug each other like the match is over, right? And it was like the most, like I was losing my voice. I couldn't even speak. And then they were like, nope. The referee Olivier Coste goes, no, the bell sounded, round 2. So they go back to their corner, and Vitaly Bigdash senses victory is right around his corner. Boom, knocks down Igor Svirad, jumps on top, ground and pounds his way to the victory. It was like the most action-packed, dramatic 8 minutes I've ever seen. And that match will jump out at my mind as being the most excited. My voice is raw. I sound so raspy and like I was so beat up, but man, it was so much fun to call that match.
How are you reacting in those moments? Because I'd be out of my chair, screaming, probably pointing and everything.
Sometimes I forget I'm a commentator.
Yeah.
In those really excited moments, I lose my mind, right? Like I forget that I'm actually a professional that's supposed to be speaking on the mic, and I'm just a fan, you know? And it's really hard to compose myself, but I found a way to express my emotion through my voice and not be too crazy.
Yeah.
But it is definitely a challenge.
Do you find it difficult not to get, say if there's a fighter that you know personally very well that's competing on that day, do you find it hard on them fights?
Yes.
Yeah.
I find it very hard, especially guys that I have a close tie to that I've known for years. Anytime Edward Folion competes, I wear my heart on my sleeve. It's very hard to watch him compete. And I'm almost critical of the guys I really know.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit, I expect more because I know them so well. And it's so hard to see them perform less than their capabilities, but I've learned through, I guess, just trial and error, ways to try to not show my bias and to call a match down the middle, right? But then there's times where I'm just a super fan of somebody like Brandon Vera or Eddie Alvarez, right? Like these guys I grew up watching. When I was a fighter, I looked up to these guys. And so then I'm like in awe of these athletes that I get to call. And so then I have even a harder time, right? So it's like a legend fighting my best friend, and it's tough either way. But I'm learning, and I still have a long way to go, not only in my martial arts knowledge, but also in my communication style and how I deliver the commentary. So there's always things to improve on, just like there's always ways to improve your game.
Yeah. I mean, from the outside looking in, I'm a massive fan of one, and you wouldn't know, don't worry, you wouldn't know that you're kind of trying to control your emotions the whole time. You're doing a great job, buddy.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
So April is stacked on one. So what fights are you looking forward to the most on them?
We've spent the past couple days sort of like getting the outlines ready and really digging into these matches. And I definitely the headliners like are the biggest stories for me, like especially this DJ Adriano Moraes match. DJ is world renowned, is probably the best flyweight to ever do it, right? His 11 title defenses, like he's just an amazing, like people know him as one of the best to ever set foot inside the circle, the octagon, no matter whatever it is, he's king, right? But people are severely underestimating Adriano Moraes. Adriano Moraes is a nasty submission artist, right? So DJ, his game is to beat you up on the feet, take you down, beat you up on the ground, and then look for a submission. He can also beat you up on the feet and just keep it there, right? But on the ground, Adriano Moraes has gotten so good in his time, right? And he's been preparing for this match for 2 years. He has been analyzing Demetrius Johnson, breaking this guy down, every single intricate detail of his game. Adriano Moraes has been studying. And I think just as a style goes, this is an intriguing matchup that's really going to captivate the fans' attention, especially once they start to understand who exactly Adriano Moraes is and just how good he is. But then we jump to the April 14th card. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's April 14th. It's one on TNT 2. We've got Christian Lee against Timofey Nastyukhin. Nastyukhin is a legit stone-faced killer. This is the guy that starched Eddie Alvarez. The way that he knocked out Edward Foliang, this guy is one of the best knockout artists one championship has ever had. He is so iron tough. He broke his leg in a match and still fought. Got up, still fought. The referee had to stop the fight. There is no stopping this guy. But Christian Lee, you can't. Christian Lee fought the most dangerous guy in the division, Dagi Arslan Aliyev, and beat him, right? Christian Lee got out of a Shinya Aoki armbar and beat him. Christian Lee won the World Grand Prix. He is so talented. I remember watching this kid when he was 18 years old, toy with a U.S. wrestling Olympian. Toy with him. Just play with him. Christian Lee was engineered in the Lee laboratory to be the most perfect martial artist the world has ever seen. And this match is going to be so much fun to watch and to break down. Like, I'm just getting more and more excited.
I can see.
I break down these fights, dude. Like, I'm really intrigued to watch some of these matchups. And I think the world is going to be exposed to just how world-class these athletes are. And it's about time the world recognizes that the one championship athletes are bringing it and are ready to put on a show.
And you got John. Is John Wayne Parr fighting? Is he fighting Nicky Holtzkin?
Ah, dude, John Wayne
When
Parr
I saw that
against Nicky Holtzkin, small gloves, Muay Thai rules. John Wayne Parr, he created that sport, and he's going for his 100th win. So this is huge, man. This is huge.
That's going to be insane. I can't wait. When I saw the whole April card, I was like, I can't believe this. This can't be real, and it is.
Every week in April, we're going 4 back-to-back weeks on some tremendous fights, all on live on TNT, or some of them are live on TNT. It's just going to be bananas. It's going to be crazy.
I can't wait. I can't wait. So, Mitch, I finished my interviews on this one final question, because the whole point of this is to inspire people to take up martial arts, especially the younger generation. So if you had one piece of advice to give to a 16-year-old Mitch Chilson, if you had to start again, what would it be?
start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu immediately. When I was 16 years old, I saw the first UFC.
Yeah.
Right. And I saw Henzo Gracie destroying people. But in my head, I was like, the strikers just aren't doing it right. Right. Like I was so close-minded in my belief. And I thought that striking was the best. And I had these preconceived notions in my head. And mixed martial arts has it should open everybody's mind up to what's capable, not just in the circle or in the ring, but really what's you're capable of in life. There's always ways to improve. There's always things you can be doing just to get a little bit better. And for me, my dream was to become a martial arts champion. For somebody else, their dream might be to record a record. Their dream might be able to run a marathon or start a business. And maybe that one of your beliefs is holding you back from accomplishing that. Maybe you don't think you can do it, but to tell myself to be more open-minded, to quote Bruce Lee, to take what's useful and absorb it and then throw out the rest, to be more open-minded, to accept new possibilities and just experience life as best you can. But I would definitely tell myself to start BJJ as soon as you can, and also buy some Apple stock. It's going to blow up.
That Bitcoin's going crazy.
Bitcoin is bananas. Don't even get me started.
What a way to put it. I could not put it better myself, especially that Bruce Lee quote as well.
Thanks, man.
Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mitch, the Dragon Chilson, thank you for coming on.
Hey, dude, my pleasure. It's been a great talking to you, and I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors, and keep this podcast going. I know these things these are tough, man. These are tough, and also maybe I can help you out with a guest or two. So stay in touch.
That'd be phenomenal. Bro. Thank you. Mitch Chilson, ladies and gentlemen.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to hit the follow button. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications button so you don't miss out on my latest episode. And for more martial arts content, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Just follow @martialartswithjake.